Hello everyone, and welcome back to Secrets Behind the Stars. It's a joy to have you here again, because today we're diving headfirst into the questions so many of you have sent us, whispered about in comments, and debated late into the night. Is love blooming again for Gökberk, Yıldırım and Cemre Arda? You felt the tremor, we've seen the ripple, and now the tide seems to be turning. Settle in, because we're going to walk through the clues, the timing, the atmosphere, and the possibilities that have everyone's hearts racing and thumbs double-tapping like there's no tomorrow. Before we unravel the thread, a quick reminder: if you want to stay in the loop with everything that matters in the world of heartbeats and headlines, make sure you're subscribed to Secrets Behind the Stars and your notifications are on. It's free, it helps the channel more than you know, and it keeps you right at the center of every new twist for the couples you love. Now, let's get into the storm of whispers surrounding Gökberk and Cemre. The big question sounds simple, but it carries the weight of history. Has love knocked again for these two? For those just catching up, Gökberk, Yıldırım and Cemre Arda didn't simply cross paths. They sparked something that turned casual sightings into trending topics and candid smiles into a collective obsession. We've all watched the dance, stolen glances, shared laughter, then separate projects and long stretches of silence that left a vacuum only speculation could fill. Their connection felt real and immediate, the kind of energy you can't fake and you can't quite forget. There was a time when they seemed to orbit each other constantly. Red carpets caught their synchronized steps, magazines mirrored their closeness, and their presence, whether side by side or just within the same frame, made daily feeds light up. Then came the quieter days. They focused on work, took on demanding roles, and drifted in ways that felt like life doing what life does, pulling people into different currents. Fans didn't give up, though. They read into playlists, into interviews, into the silent space between posts, trying to figure out whether the bridge was still there, even if the lights were dimmed. And now? Now the air feels different. A handful of delicate signals has broken through the fog, and though each sign is small on its own, together they begin to form a picture that's hard to ignore. You've noticed them just as we have. Posts that echo each other in tone and timing, captions that seem to answer a question without naming it, and those elusive likes, the kind that arrive at strange hours and land on photos that hold memories. A heart on an older backstage snapshot. A comment beneath a friend's story that includes both of them in a circle of mutual warmth. A quick reaction that disappears, then returns, as if someone wasn't sure whether to let the world see. We've also been watching public appearances with an attentive eye. A gala last week set tongues wagging when cameras caught a passing moment, Gökberk pausing slightly in a corridor, turning as if sensing something, and there she was, Cemre, stepping out of a conversation with a soft smile. Nothing blatant. No big gestures. But the posture, the softness, the way they navigated the crowd, never colliding yet never completely drifting apart, it had the feeling of a familiar orbit rediscovered. And there was that quick interview afterward, where Gökberk kept things light but chose his words carefully, talking about growth, about learning to prioritize what matters beyond the chaos. Cemre, in her own chat later that evening, mentioned the comfort of old friends who know the unspoken, and the internet did what it always does, stitched those fragments into a narrative that felt startlingly plausible. Chemistry is not a rumor. It's an electricity that either hums or it doesn't, and with these two, you can almost hear it in the background hum of every room they share. Maybe that's why the smallest signs feel outsized. When a relationship touches people, it becomes a communal story. You told us as much. Our inbox has been flooded with messages, screenshots, timestamps, and theories, half detective work, half love letter. Many of you wrote that you don't just want them back. You believe they found a way to see each other again, not as they were, but as they are now, wiser, kinder, less afraid of what the spotlight magnifies. Is there hard proof? In this world, proofs rarely arrive with neon lights. More often, feelings are confirmed in stages, a breadcrumb trail that becomes undeniable only in hindsight. But what we can say is that the pattern has shifted. Where there was distance, there is grace. Where there was silence, there is a gentle, careful music. We're noticing a softness in the digital footprints, a patience in public manners, a tenderness in how they speak about gratitude, about timing, about forgiving the weather for being the weather. People change. They evolve. And sometimes, the version of you who couldn't make it last the first time becomes the version who knows exactly how to keep it this time. Still, we have to be honest, rumors are rumors until they aren't. Nothing replaces a moment where one of them says it plainly. But waiting doesn't mean we can't read the room. And the room feels hopeful. Even the most cautious among you admit there's something luminous in the way recent weeks have unfolded. The fan community is buzzing, and cautiously, lovingly, most of you lean toward the belief that we're watching the first green shoots of a renewed season. Let's rewind to the memories that made everyone care so deeply. Those magazine spreads bursting with candid laughter. The behind-the-scenes clips where a glance carried a whole conversation. The way they respected each other's space during heavy press seasons, yet found a way to share a joke that cut through the noise. Those weren't just PR moments, they were glimpses of a dynamic that felt real and, in its better moments, beautifully simple. When the drift set in, there was no dramatic declaration, just a cooling of the air. In that quiet, people tended to their hope, a hope that never fully went out. Fast forward to now, and the subtle choreography has begun again, liking a collaborator's post that happens to feature the other, choosing songs and stories that feel like companion tracks, showing up to the same event, not shadowing each other, but moving with awareness, as if acknowledging that shared history is both a bridge and a compass. If you look closely, even their fashion choices speak to a gentle consistency. Tones and textures that, intentionally or not, complement each other across rooms they enter separately and leave separately, yet never fully apart. Interviews add another layer. When asked about priorities, Gökberk has leaned into words like peace, centeredness, and care. Cemre, in one of her Q&As, talked about not rushing what matters and finding joy in quiet progress. None of this is an overt admission, but together, it paints an image of two people who have stepped into a calmer rhythm. What once felt fragile now feels considered. What once felt like a question mark now carries the slow confidence of an ellipsis. And yes, we've heard the whispers of reconciliation from those who claim to have witnessed a friendly exchange at a rehearsal space. Nothing dramatic, no big embraces, no staged photos, just warmth, a private laugh, a glance that lands and lingers before the world crushes in. It tracks with everything else. This isn't a fireworks show. It's a lantern lit in a window, steady and welcoming. If this is a second chance, it isn't a second chance given lightly. Anyone who has loved in public knows how unforgiving the spotlight can be. It magnifies the ordinary, distorts the uncertain, and turns pauses into pronouncements. For Gökberk and Cemre, the path back would have to be lined with patience, boundaries, and an agreement to let the story be theirs to tell. And that, more than anything, seems to be what's happening. A private conversation, carefully protected, peeking out only through moments that feel authentic rather than staged. Of course, some voices urge caution. They remind us that coincidental likes happen, that parallel schedules naturally place artists in the same rooms, that nostalgia can trick the heart into seeing patterns where there are none. We hear those voices. They are part of a healthy balance. But patterns matter too. When the same small signs repeat, when separate interviews harmonize, when time seems to soften the rougher edges of a past chapter, a new chapter starts to feel possible. So where does that leave us tonight? With a sentence that thrills and soothes at the same time, it's confirmed in the way only love can be confirmed before the press release. Gökberk Yıldırım and Cemre Arda are back on the same page. Is there an official announcement? Not yet. Do we need it to feel the shift? Not really. The alignment is there, in gestures, in choices, in the quiet coordination that emerges when hearts make peace with what they want. The light between them hasn't just flickered back on, it has settled into a glow. We'll keep our eyes open, as always, on the interviews, on the carpets, on the soft hours where stories tend to reveal themselves. And we want to hear from you. What have you noticed? Which moment made you pause and think, yes, this is it, they've found each other again? Share the clues you've gathered with the same care and excitement you've shown us all along. Your observations aren't just background noise, they're part of the living story of how a community watches, hopes, and celebrates. If tonight's deep dive sparked a smile or eased a worry, show some love to this video, pass it to a friend who's followed every step of their journey, and make sure you're subscribed to Secrets Behind the Stars so you're the first to know when the next hint drops. However this unfolds, we'll be here with you, reading the room, listening to the whispers, and honoring the grace of two people who seem to have turned back toward one another with courage and care. Because sometimes the grandest declarations are the quiet ones. Sometimes love doesn't crash back in with thunder, it returns like an old song you didn't realize you were humming. And for Gökberk and Cemre, that melody feels unmistakable right now, tender, steady, and beautifully in tune. Until the moment they say it out loud, we'll hold this note together, trusting that what we're hearing is real, a familiar harmony, softly rising, promising a new chorus worth waiting for. Thank you for spending this time with us, for your keen eyes and your generous hearts. We'll keep watching with you, ready for the next smile, the next glance, the next little sign that says what words, for now, do not. From all of us at Secrets Behind the Stars, good night. Keep your notifications on, keep your hopes kind, and keep listening for the love story that seems to be singing again.